Time is 7:22 and the regular scheduled meeting of the Greensburg Planning Commission meeting is called to order. To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants in this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back of the room. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to silence any electronic devices, and then we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call roll.
Roy?
Present.
Mark? Here. Steve?
Here.
Jamie? Kevin?
Present.
Tom? Here. Phil?
Here.
You all were provided minutes of the August 2018 meeting. Take a chance to look at those. Do you have any additions or corrections to those minutes?
Make a motion to approve minutes.
We have a motion to approve minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving minutes as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Having heard that, the second was
Roy.
Roy. All right, new business. Replat of Charleston Square Phase II. Kathy, can you enlighten us a little bit as what we have here?
We have a request tonight from Larry Kramer, and present for him is Andy Scholle and Christy Gard, a realtor.
Maximum results
Realty. Sorry. Before you, there is a site plan that shows approximately 6 duplexes that Mr. Kramer owns. And he would like to split those into condominiums per se. They are currently duplexes. They were built with a firewall in between. The firewall does go all the way up to the peak of the attic and to the roof. As well as they're requesting for 0 lot line in the center, as you see, as well as we need minimum lot frontage and minimum lot size on some of these. And you see that there's 2 different sizes involved here. The bigger 2 were built under the old ordinance per se, which required 10,000 square feet for a duplex to be built on. So, Andy, I don't know if you have the lot frontage size on that at all, but I don't know if the 2 bigger ones would need lot frontage on the size of the lot, but they would still need the square footage. So if you have any other questions, Andy and Christy are here, but that's what's going there in a brief moment. Do you have a better?
Andy Scholle, here representing Larry Kramer. The 2 duplexes on the south side are pretty much a lot and a half. So those dimensions are 105 feet wide. So even if they're split in half, it's only going to be 52 feet, and I believe the ordinance calls for 70 feet. So they would still have to have a variance. Obviously the 4 duplexes on the north side of Gaston Drive, those are all on single lots, so those would be less. We're asking to allow this replat and these 3 variances. If approved, it'll be surveyed wherever that dividing party wall is between the 2 duplexes. Does the board have any questions or
On the on the north side of the smaller lots, what would the new width be on those?
It looks like those lots are like 70 feet, 70.2, just say 70 feet wide. That's how wide all the lots were, pretty much in that whole addition. They were all made. I brought some other aerial photographs if you guys need to see a better picture of them.
One of my first was, what's the reason, what's driving him wanting to split these this way and convert them from duplexes to pseudo condos?
I believe, Christie, that's what you're.
Christie Gar, Maximum Results Real Estate. I'm here to represent Larry. Larry lives in Colorado. He invested in these properties several years ago. I think over time of managing these for several years, and he's also kind of phasing out of some of his investments, restructuring a little bit. He's setting up his retirement accounts, and based on what the market conditions are indicating to him right now, it's a good time to sell if we can. A couple of things came into play when we were analyzing these particular types of housing. So instead of calling them single family detached housing, which is typically what we are associate with here in Greensburg, these would be single family attached housing with one main party wall. You go into larger communities, Columbus, anything up in the Indy, Marion County, Hamilton County area, you find these all the time. So obviously he can gain a bigger profit for selling these by selling off each side as a single family, as opposed to keeping them as duplexes and selling it as a whole. Not only is he prepared, and we've already started some of the progress of this. We'll be selling these with basically all new furnishings, including roof, furnace, interiors are completely gutted and redone. It'll just provide another type of housing that we feel is lacking in the community as well. If you want me to go into further about the market conditions and things, I'm more than happy to, but I think that kind of answers the question as to Mr. Kramer's reason for selling.
What would be the value for each of these?
We're estimating somewhere between 110, 115, somewhere in there each. Right now, if you take that amount and look at the analysis of what a mortgage payment would cost, it's a little bit less if you put 10% down than what you can find in any of the apartment living that would be comparable. Most of our apartment complexes have waiting lists. This type of housing is going to provide them also with a 2-car attached garage, which is something that they're not going to be able to find. All of Decatur County is also under the umbrella of the USDA Rural Housing Loan Program, which allows for 100% financing. So a young person starting out who may not have a lot in their savings account can actually own a home versus renting, and also receive the benefits of the interest deductions and such, where you can't have that if you're renting. So I do feel like there's a place for this in our community that we currently don't have and cannot offer everyone.
What's the square footage of each of those?
I want to say the ones on the south side are about 900. Do you have that? Did you see that in the? I think the ones on the south side are about 900, and the ones on the north side are just a little bit smaller, so about 800, 850. These also provide a little bit of outdoor living space. A lot of the other larger communities that you see that are more of the brownstone walk-ups that you see, and again, the other Hamilton County, Bartholomew County, for example, do not usually have any kind of a yard space. These all at least have some kind of a backyard area. And having the garages attached to it is also a great selling feature.
Andy, the other properties on Gaston, are they, the ones in the north and ones in the south that are not included in this petition, are they duplexes, or are these also, are they owned by Mr. Kramer, are they not?
These are the only 6 that are owned by Mr. Kramer.
So, okay, so he's requesting this petition on every property he owns on that street.
Yes, these 6.
Now, further down, closer to Carver, you do have individual, single-family dwellings, yes.
The two that's closest to Charleston Square are owned by Gary Nobby, and the rest are owned by Ford Camillo.
But there is currently already a mix of single-family residents
Duplexes and then,
on the end of that street.
so the duplexes, the people that live in the duplexes, they're renting those units.
They're all current renters, yes.
Any board members have any other questions on this petition?
Would you mind share with them maybe some of the examples of
I
past dealings where this has been approved?
I've printed off a couple copies of other duplexes in Greensburg that have been split like this. Some of them were done by past administrations, so I don't think they came in front of this board. There's a couple duplexes in Rolling Meadows. There's a couple, 3 or 4 of them over in Nightingale Drive.
So those are, the ones that are on Nightingale, they're considered condos then?
Yeah, these 2 are in Rolling Meadows. There's all of these duplexes that have split, these are all by past administration. I've got some surveys in the back.
So I know that was that. So that's not the father.
Right. And then this lot 17 on Nightingale, that was done back in '89, so I think there's some other surveys, I think it was 2015, where they put in that. This was a duplex, this is Doug Preston, right next to Barbara Charlie Lee on Highway 421. This was split in 2009 without coming in front of any boards. And then after Doug Preston bought it, we ended up doing an administrative subdivision, putting it back together as one parcel. He did not, he bought the whole thing, he did not want it split for tax reasons.
What's the width of these lots out?
Like this was lot 17, so they went down to 53 feet. That's this, so these here that I highlighted, it's 53 feet, I guess.
These are quite narrow.
Yeah, see, there's not a survey recorded on all of them. I didn't pull all the deeds. Those were all done probably back in the 80s, I'm guessing, early 90s maybe.
Is that Nightingale Drive, try 70s?
That's where they split some of them duplexes.
That's when they were built, and they were built like that back in the 70s.
Okay. But then somebody came back and divided the lot where the duplex was.
That was way before,
Way.
yeah.
I found one survey where Jim Gorman split lot 17, and each of those had like 53 feet of frontage. That was done in 1989. I included that survey in with those other examples.
So are these ones on Nightingale, were they split or were they originally surveyed this way?
Those are all splits.
What's that, I'm sorry?
The ones on Nightingale, were they originally duplexes that got?
I can't answer that, I was waiting for my time, so all I know is they've always been, I'm sorry,
Oh, yeah, built those.
yes, they were that way,
That
and one,
2015 for Eric was.
Really narrow. Right.
the other one's that. So,
Let's say, for example, this is a group, you think it's split. Let's say somebody
Yeah,
buys this
question.
question, set it over a big house and wants to buy the other side.
That's why you guys see it's happened before. I don't know if these other splits have come from. Yes.
Isn't 35 feet getting a little bit narrow?
Do you see those two?
Yeah, just right, it's just right at the entrance. Huh?
Are any of these that are already plotted in existence as narrow as 35 feet?
I would say these, I have to look at the plat and Rolling Meadows, but I would say most of these these lots are laid out at 70 or 80 feet.
So the coal.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't bring the plat of Rolling Meadows. I don't know if- Kathy, do you have a copy of the Rolling Meadows plat in your office?
I do.
I mean, if you want me to run down, I can tell you what the original width is on those two lots.
Well, I just was wondering if it was comparable in width to the
Hang on,
narrow.
I can pull it up here. The ones that are duplexes. Is that what you're talking about, the ones that just look?
Right. What are the frontages?
42 by 110.
22.
Any other questions? Board member, the commission? Does anyone from the audience have anything to speak to in this petition? Having heard nothing, I request a motion
I make a motion that we approve the request.
and to specify we're approving the minimum lot frontage to, we want to, with this motion, Kathy, should we spell out what it is or just, because two of these are, let's see.
You just say, you know, lot frontage, wherever that middle
Yeah, wherever that
dividing
middle
line
line
is,
is, you just do it.
what we're asking for.
So we have minimum lot frontage, we have a 0 side yard setback, what was the third one? There are 3 variances.
Yeah, the size of the lot,
That's
the
right,
lot
size of
frontage,
lot.
and the 0 lot line. Or should it be considered as a common?
Zero.
0, okay.
Okay, so
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion for the 0 set side yard, the minimum lot width, and the minimum lot size variances. Do I have a second?
Second.
So Steve seconded.
Phil.
Oh. Let's call the vote.
Troy,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Jamie, Kevin,
No.
Tom,
Yes.
Phil.
Yes.
There you go.
Thanks.
All right, old business. Do we have any other items of interest for planning commission members?
I think we need to, the item that was brought before the BCA earlier this evening about the lots out in, what do they call that, Kathy, what do we call that? Liberty Circle, is that what the name of that is?
No, it's like Commerce Park.
6.
Okay,
6,
well,
7,
whatever.
12.
Those lots, they've been told to pave them, and they're the unpaved lots out there. We're requiring the new person to pave their lot and put curbs in. And the existing people know they were supposed to have done that, and they're not following through. So I guess we need, I don't know what we need to do, but that needs to be done, is my point. And this board, I believe, who's responsible for trying to enforce that, so. I don't know if we just want Chris to write a letter, I don't know. I guess they know that they're supposed to do it, they've been informed, and they're still not doing it, so. I don't think it's fair to try and make the new owner do something that we're not making the old owners do.
Has the city ever reached out to these properties and addressed that as far as?
I know
their
one we
plats
have,
showed
one we
paved
have,
part?
but to when the ordinance changed versus to go back and make the ones that already exist to do so. what we're running into.
Right, some of them were before the ordinance, but it's my understanding that a couple of them know they were supposed to pave it. And
One, as long as I only know of one,
Okay,
and he was written up of recent, knowing so, and he has until April of next year to complete his list.
okay, that was my question, I guess, was how long do we have? So I guess we have to let it go then. We're going to request a new
That's,
person do something that,
and the one we're referencing, that's not flat, correct?
Yes.
so I just wanted
I
to
think
bring.
though, once, when they put it in their building plan, and they agree to do that, then I don't think we should give them a variance. I mean, they knew that when they came in and applied for the plan.
Because I've been doing, I mean, I did it before and I do it now, plan review. And when I do plan review, I make a list. I type up like a letter and I indicate the building code and what this situation is. And one of the first things on there, usually I check the parking and address the parking if that needs so. The other one, there's another building that probably will be coming before the Board of Zoning Appeals asking for the same thing. They're remodeling, they're redoing their parking lot. I noted as such, and they came back and they're like, what do you mean we have to put curbing around? I'm like, we have an ordinance that states as such. They're like, well, you can't afford to do all that. Then they have other issues on top of that with their parking anyway. But nevertheless, they're like, well, you know, what type of curbing does it have to be? There's no specifications on it, so you tell them, you know, it can be asphalt, it can be concrete, as long as it's a curb. They're like, well, can we put the tire bumpers, car bumpers up there? No, that's not considered curbing. So.
I just wanted to bring it to the attention because it's gonna be coming up probably again from what I understand.
Well, the thing was, when I issued their certificate of occupation, was going into bad weather, and he said, well, I'm gonna pave it in the spring as soon as the weather gets decent. Well, that spring's coming fast a couple times. Which we do that some even on residential, you know, the house is done, but it's freezing weather, they can't pour concrete for a driveway or a sidewalk. Something like that will give with that stipulation.
But it's noted, now it's noted on that C of O that you have X amount of months to complete that. If not, then we can rescind the C of O if it's not complete. But if it's not really stated on there, it's kind of hard to go back and rescind.
It's like in that large area out there where you have multiple businesses. And do any of them have curbing?
No, half of them are not paved even.
So, I mean, so we have, then we put an ordinance in place, you have to curb. And then we're gonna get variance on that why do we even have the ordinance? I don't know why we would put that ordinance in there.
And we just made the jail put curbing around their parking lot. Okay, the commissioners came last month to the BZA and asked for a variance and it was denied.
Well, but the jail isn't in that area where all the other businesses are that don't have curbing.
Right, well, I understand, but when you've told one group to do it, now you're gonna tell, I just don't like telling somebody, you gotta do it and you don't gotta do it. I understand that it's different out there, but it's still in the city, so it's still the same rules.
But I think there are areas of the city that are different. And in different areas, you can have different rules, but in the same area, I think the rules ought to be the same for everybody who's in that area. But you can't do an ordinance, pass an ordinance, and then people that were already built before that think, well, you gotta go back and do that. You can't, I don't think you can do that to someone. So, you know, it's a kind of we've made a mess, as that whole area is a mess to begin with.
Exactly.
We just made a bigger mess out of it. And what's the purpose of the curbing? Is the purpose for drainage purposes? Or is it for aesthetics? Or is it for boundary markers, or, I mean, what's the purpose of the curb?
Ron, what was
Can
the
you answer
purpose?
that?
I wasn't here when the ordinance was adopted. It predates me. I have seen something somewhere, and I'm a little fuzzy on this, but I believe a part of the reasoning was to control where traffic can drive. Now, obviously, a curb doesn't keep you from going somewhere, but it encourages the motorist to keep his vehicle on the paved area, not park in the landscaped areas, not damage the landscaping, not park in the yard, kind of a thing. I think that was some of the intent. There may have been more. It certainly does help control drainage.
Would that fall true, say if a new industry come into town, they put in a 300-car parking lot, they'd have to curb all their,
Yes. The parking ordinance is independent of the zoning classification. The parking ordinance says you will have so many spaces, they will be of a specified size with a specified size of driving aisle, and you will have curbing, and you will have landscaping, although I don't think that part of the ordinance defines landscaping. It just says you will have landscaping, 10% of the parking area, and you will have 1 tree per 20 parking spaces. That's the Cliff Notes version of the parking ordinance. We do not define curb, we simply say you must have curb. We do have the city's design standards, it does show different types of curbs, but I do not believe
Doesn't refer to.
it doesn't refer to that, and those actual design standards have never formally been adopted. They're just there.
It refers to them in the subdivision control ordinance. And that's the only spot.
So I believe that any curb, concrete, asphalt, there are some precast curbs, not the wheel stops that Kathy was mentioning, but there are precast curbs that can be mounted on top of asphalt paving. It's to be backed with soil so that it provides some stability. Wheel stops, while they're easy and convenient and maybe less expensive, they have some inherent problems because of snow removal and all of that. When you're pushing snow in the dark and the cold, you don't always know what you're pushing. They aren't super well secured to the ground, so they do move fairly easily.
If we're gonna have a design standard that calls out for curb, should we at least not reference it back to?
How to tell somebody what a curb is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because right now it's an open-ended, I mean, since it doesn't reference back to a certain design, it's soft, I mean, they have.
It seems to be commonly accepted that it's concrete curbing, but
Doesn't
it
really,
doesn't say that.
doesn't
It
really
just
give
says
you
curb.
asphalt.
Yeah. Asphalt curb shears easily, so when you push snow, high probability you're gonna push that curb off. It's not, HMA does not have high shear strength. And so we can put it on that.
Just real quick, circling back around to what you said about top flight and paving the parking lot, you said they have until April of next year to comply.
they got a couple other issues there too that they have to comply with. Just, do we need, I mean, I know that's not up to us, but do we need to clarify a curbing standard on this so that we don't get into a gray area again?
It would require I think it would require amending the ordinance, and you may recommend to council such an amendment to the zoning ordinance.
Yes. We can come up
In
with
fact,
a-
that's the proper procedure.
We can come up with the ordinance and you guys then would approve such ordinance and then recommend that it move on to city council for approval.
Actually, give a negative recommendation. It still goes to council.
Yeah.
I think if we're gonna pursue this, then we need to have a definition of what curbing's gonna be.
Thoughts of board members on that? Seeing heads, yes.
Yes.
But what do you want?